What's up, weekend golfers? Welcome back to the Weekend Golfer Podcast, the podcast where everyday golfers like you and me, I did that wrong, you and me and you and me. Everyday weekend golfers, we get our voice back. And I'm your host, Calvin. In today's episode, I've actually been looking forward to. It's something that's kind of spurred in a trip that I was at recently, and it was something that I wanted to be like, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's hop on the podcast. Let's talk about it. Obviously, you guys can comment, leave likes, and subscribe. Do all those good things that you're supposed to do so we can talk about this thing. But what I wanted to get into today is basically really a simple question. If I give you a free membership to any private golf club that you want, would you take it? Or would you rather play a different public golf course every single weekend for free? I don't know how a time frame on it, so don't speculate into that. But that's the two questions that we're asking. Free membership to a private golf club, or you can play public courses for a certain amount of time for free. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Really, what we're doing is we're going to be comparing private clubs versus public golf. Not necessarily to decide, which one's right or who's wrong, but basically just to answer the really main question that I wanted to get to is that what experience is giving us as weekend golfers the best value? So we're going to get into that, but we got to cue that intro first. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's discussion, I want to kind of shift and go back a little bit and let you guys know what to expect as a weekend golfer when it comes to certain golf courses. Actually, what I was thinking, let's make it a whole new segment that you kind of see on the podcast. And what we're going to call this is the Weekend Golfer Course Review. Basically, what this means is that every time I play a course, in a way, in a shape or form, you play this course. I'm going to review it through the eyes of a weekend golfer. I'm not a tour pro. I'm not a golf architect. So but I have been playing for one long enough to understand what things make sense and when things don't. So, but basically what I'm hoping to help you guys see, whether if it's not on a actual recorded video of me actually playing the course, like the one recent one I just did at Sunset Hills, if you want to check that out right there. But the main thing I want you guys to see is this course really worth your weekend? That's the whole driving point that I'm trying to help you guys with. And so with that being the case, I'll introduce our very first one that we have. So, recently have been joined in on a annual kind of beach trip with my wife and her best friend and her soon to be fiance. They're getting ready to, get engaged at somewhere down the line. Not part of the story. But we take this trip now. We've been doing it for the last 2 years where we tag on with them to go down to Seabrook Island, South Carolina. Well, just right off the coast of, right off the area of Charleston. With that being the case, though, Seabrook has 2 golf courses on its island that they're in the property of, but it's obviously a private course. They treat everything a little bit more different. So basically, it is open for guests of members because obviously we're not members of the area, but it's open for guests after 1. So you could play golf after 1, you could hit the range after 1, but anytime before that, you cannot do anything related to golf on the actual island. So with that being the case, we have to go off the island because we probably got to save up to play the private course because it's like still maybe $180 a person to go play. So neither here nor there. What we went to and ended up doing, we went to a golf course called Legends Oak Golf Course. This golf course is, I believe, in Summerville, South Carolina. I will let you guys know, when we played it, first and foremost, I'll get the big number out the way. $77 on a Friday for you guys to play this course. So $77 was the green fee for us. We, obviously paid that. And I expected a quality round, and overall, like the golf courses that I've been seeing in the South Carolina area, especially near the beaches, tend to be very more upkept golf courses, so to speak. So with all these course reviews, we're going to be rating all these golf courses on a few things. First and foremost, we're going to be rating them on course conditions. How well is the course? Was it good? Was it terrible? Could I play on it? Those things like that. Secondly, we're going to be hitting on pace of play. This is a big thing for weekend golfers because we done worked all week long to do the things that we needed to do to fund ourselves to play on this weekend. And we want to have a good time and not be out here for 16 hours. So pace of play is number 2. Number 3 is the value. Basically saying, is what I paid worth me being out here? And then lastly, fun factor, because we all know as weekend golfers, again, we've been working all week long. All we want to do is golf all weekend, and we want to have a good time. We want to have a few brewskis and be able to enjoy ourselves. So we're rating it on these 4 systems. So with that being said, the first one being course conditions. Course conditions, the fairways for me were in really good shape. I will say that the fairways were in really good shape. I really like that the rough actually penalized you a little bit. It was a little bit thicker grass. It was higher cut. It was a higher grass of cut of grass. I don't know how you say that, but it was higher than what you would normally see in the fairway. So your accuracy obviously mattered. You wanted to try to be in the fairway as much as you could be. I will say one of the biggest drawbacks was the fact that most of the greens were under repair. I think the very first green was under repair, and I think each one after, like I would say maybe 75 or higher of the percent of greens were under repair in some way, form, or fashion. So like sand spots in it. Some of them were actually, I did appreciate this. Some of them were actually spray painted out, like a spray paint just around the area that they're trying to repair. So you know, like, hey, this is under repair. And they put GUR for ground under repair. So I was like, okay, cool. They at least try to let you know. But several of them were under repair, so some greens were rolling, some of them were a little bit slower. A lot of things that you kind of have to fight with that. But another thing that I feel like it is very worth mentioning, and this is probably the first time I've seen this at a golf course before. It's not a knock to the golf course at all, but it is something that I was not expecting. There is a very small practice facility at Legends Oak. The driving range is pretty small. I think it's probably about 80 yards east to west. Like it's about 80 yards wide, because it sits right between the 18th, your approach shot on the par 5 18 and your tee box on 1. Basically what I would say is, imagine if you happen to be on the tee, you have a possibility of somebody shanking a practice ball right into the back of your head or in your back. That is probably not something I would say is ideal if I'm about to tee off. Granted, we were playing for pretty much almost the tip, so we were not in that direction. But if you're playing from the blue or the whites, there was like 5 tee markers out there. So if you're playing from the senior men's and, anything further than that, you're in shot of getting hit from a golf ball on the practice range. So didn't necessarily like that it was kind of tight knit and snuck between there, which also means that there's a lot of golf balls that are sitting on the 18th fairway and also on the first fairway, because the range is, people are hitting shots that are going, shooting across the way. And then also the last thing I will mention is that the practice putting green was actually a really good green. It just was too far away from the first tee box. The practice putting green was across the 18th green, up a little hill, sitting at the top on the far right side of the clubhouse. If you're looking at, or the left side, I guess, if you're looking at it from the 18th green. So to walk to go practice my putts, I basically needed to drive the cart around, although I did walk because the situation called for it. But you got to drive your cart all the way over there to practice your putts, drive it all the way back if you wanted to hit balls or tee off. So all that being said, course conditions, I would give it, honestly, probably about a 6.5, due to the fact that greens were under repair, excuse me. I didn't get too many greens in regulation, but greens were under repair. And also the fact that the first and 18th hole was a little bit of an interesting thing to try to find your ball when there's 40 other balls sitting in the fairway and you're trying to make sure yours is wet. So maybe a little bit of a tough thing, but with all those things that I said, course conditions, 6.5. All right. Pace of play. We all know that pace of play is a major thing for us as weekend golfers. And if we can have a good pace and we can have a good mojo going, we're good. Like, we don't want to sit here and we don't want to wait. We do want to catch up with our friends, catch up with our guys, talk about some things, but we also have a lot of time to do that. We're on this golf course for possibly at least 4 hours. So, that being the case, Pace of play was a little slow. It was a little slow. Yeah, it was a little slow. It was a little slow. Okay. But probably the biggest negative of the day. Course conditions was not necessarily it. Pace of play was pretty slow. So we were backed up pretty often. We had a foursome group go out right in front of us. I don't know what their tee time was. We were a foursome as well. It was me and my buddy that we went out with, and then we got paired with two other guys, really cool guys. But we were four. There's a four in front of us, probably a foursome in front of them. And, we're waiting on tees. And, and even at one point, I think we were probably on the third or fourth hole, maybe. We had even asked because there was a single behind us. And we had told them, we were like, hey, if you want to play through, you can. Like, we just finished a par 3, getting ready to hit a par 5. We were like, hey, if you want to play through, we can. This guy was like, hey, I appreciate it, but I'm not even going to go anywhere because I get in front of y'all. There's still a foursome in front of y'all. Like, it's not going to be beneficial. And he's like, I'm playing 2 balls at this point because I know I'm going to be out here for a minute. So this man was literally playing 2 balls on every hole. And like, if he hit one bad, he hit a good one, and he played both of them. Like, he was playing, it's like 2 people, basically. One person was playing 2 people. So pace of play, as I can obviously tell you it was pretty slow that day. So with that being the case, and we're waiting, pace of play, it's got to be a 5 out of 10 for that. All right, value. So again, I told you guys at the beginning, it was $77 to play on a Friday, which honestly, I still think I had a good experience. The layout was enjoyable. There's a lot of water, a lot of places you can put yourself in a tight spot. So you do want to make sure that you're striking the ball correctly at this golf course. But the fairways were in good shape. I had a good time. The greens, if they were healthier, then, the pace might have probably been able to picked up, or if these guys were probably hitting the way that they should, the pace could have probably picked up. At best, I could say maybe not necessarily charging your normal fee when your greens are under repair. But I do also possibly understand the business side of it and the fact that you still need people to come out there so you can pay for the greens to be repaired. So value wise, I would still say it was an 8 out of 10. I think I like the course layout a lot. There's a lot of hidden spots that you're not sure about. A few blind shots, a lot of water, but like little ponds and small little pockets of water that you do want to stay away from. But I did like the course, and I definitely would probably pay the same price to go out there again. All right, and our last notion is our fun factor. So at the end of the day, this is why we play golf, ladies and gentlemen. This is why, as weekend golfers, this is why we go out to go play golf. And this was, a fun time. I was on a beach trip with some friends. We got to spend some time. We were talking about, things that were going on. And that's really what makes, weekend golf the special thing. And then we got paired with 2 guys that were really cool. One guy, I believe his name was Eric. He was he was on the LSU tennis team. At one point, he's living in the Charleston area. Him and his friend, I forget his friend's name. If he's watching this, forgive me. But we're talking with a lot of what they're doing. What was even really cool is that obviously, like I mentioned earlier, you're trying to go out, have a good time with your friends, get some brewskis, enjoy yourself. The South Carolina rule is that, and it's probably across other places, but it's a little bit different in other places, I will say that. But the pro shop does not sell any alcoholic beverages until after 10. Legally, they are not able to do so. So luckily, these guys had some stuff that they had brought with them. They shared with us some kind of like White Clawish type of drinks, but they weren't White Claws. But nonetheless, already making a bond, sharing over some drinks, having a good time, connecting, and then talking with a guy that's a scratch player too, the tennis guy, Eric. He was like, we were like, hey, what do you shoot? He's like, normally par. And we were like,
it's about to go down.
All right. So we knew what we were getting into at this point. But at the end of the day, fun factor, I'd give it a 9.10. Being out there with a good friend of mine, making friends out of some new guys that we've never met, that we may or may not ever see again, but having a good time for, unfortunately, 5 hours. Still was a good time nonetheless. At a certain point, your scorecard, it is what it is. I will tell you guys, honestly, you guys can follow me on 18 birdies. I shot a 96, which is lower than what I normally had, which is lower than what I last shot as 100. I don't know what's going on, but we also are trying to figure out these new irons and hitting off the grass because our distances are all over the place. But different story for a different time. But Question though, would I absolutely play this golf? Would I play this golf course again? Absolutely. I definitely, go back once the greens are fully recovered. Next time I'm in the Charleston area, I would definitely, have Legends Oak golf course on my mind, on my forefront to say, hey, this is a good golf course that I know. So at the end of the day, Legends Oaks Golf Course, you guys are going to get a 7.1 out of 10. So overall, I think the course was really good fairways, solid value, a fun layout. Once the greens are taken care of, I think that rating is going to shoot right up. The practice area still makes me a little bit nervous just because of some guys that may or may not be really like used to hitting and all those things, like just making sure I'm not getting a ball to my forehead as I walk up the 18th green. And then slower pace of play. This is something we've all talked about. I still believe that on the weekend, your pace of play, your average time should be split by 12 minutes, not just 10 or 8. Nothing less than 10, 12 minutes, I think, should be the case where if I'm teeing off at 9, the next person's not teeing off until 9, 12, 9, 13, and then going in that type of concept. But needless to say, Legends Oaks Golf Course in Summerville, South Carolina, you guys get a 7.1 out of 10. So, but in all of that, and thinking about the round and thinking about the golf course in itself, and obviously providing you guys with a review, it got me thinking. The house that we were staying on and on Seabrook Island was actually right on the side of the second hole of one of the courses in Seabrook, like in the backyard. Like I could walk down the porch or the patio area and walk onto the fairway of the second hole. And it got me thinking, like, I spent $77 to play on a public golf course, had a pretty good day. It wasn't necessarily perfect by no means, but it made me ask, like, what exactly are we paying for when we play a public course versus if we paid a little bit of different type of money and joined a private club? So it's something that we were obviously the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today. So let's dive into it. First and foremost, why do we love public golf? First and foremost, I think public golf is the heartbeat of this game. Like you meet so many people, make so many different type of connections. If you go out as a two group or one or a three, and you get paired with people, you have a way of connecting with people that you may not have never connected with on a daily basis. Like imagine you play at a golf course that's public or maybe semi-private, and you end up connecting with somebody who's a CEO or a general manager of something, and it's actually a field that you've been trying to get into. Just playing golf with a random ends up being somebody you might need to be talking to, which I'd never considered. Sometimes we do get some bad randoms, I will say that. But you never know who you're playing golf with, and you never know who you might necessarily be speaking with. So I think public golf is the heartbeat of the game. That's honestly where a lot of us have learned how to play this game. Having our dads, our uncles, or whoever taking us out to, the public range or the public golf course and teaching us how to hit a golf ball, how to hold a golf club. It's where we meet our friends for Saturday mornings or, having a good time, having coffee, having lunch, like all those good things. We plan trips around it. We plan trips for, golf to go play a public course. And it's like, one of the favorite things that we can do. And every weekend, what I like also is that every weekend can be a different experience. But then there's a freedom also with public golf. I mean, you get to play a different course whenever you want. Like I could go play Sunset today. I can go play Charles T. Myers tomorrow. I can go play, Larkhaven's not here anymore. They closed that course down. But I can go play Lakewood or this course or that course, whatever the case may be. There's a different challenge because this course has water. This course has a lot of bunkers. This course is very open. This course is very tight. Like different things that happen on the public golf course, different memories that can happen on the golf course. And as somebody who now is played a lot of the golf courses in the Charlotte area, now and I'm shifting about to move to South Carolina, now I'm really interested to see what does South Carolina have to offer, especially in the Columbia area. So public golf truly is the heartbeat to the game that we all love and why we play. Now, on the flip side, why do golfers, why do we dream necessarily? Because I can't speak from personal experience. I mean, I've played some private clubs. I've seen obviously some videos from, like Mr. Short Game. I know he did a whole series on like the private clubs and how much they cost and what all you get with it, which, shout out to him for, getting us all into that experience. Maybe one day, I'll be able to hit that echelon of YouTube golf and be able to, show everybody and, you guys as weekend golfers, not followers, weekend golfers, what those courses look like, but we all dream about, hey, what would it be like to be and to like be a member of a private club? And, let's be honest, like private clubs are very attractive for a specific reason. The courses are usually, if not exponentially better than what we usually see. You could probably imagine if like the golf course, I can tell you this, even the golf course at Legends Oak, their greens, even under repair, the parts that were not under repair look 10 times better than the course I played in my recent video at Sunset Hills. It's a different type of, like situation that's going on. Legends Oaks is semi-private. Sunset Hills is a very public city-owned golf course. So different type of conditions. Your tee sheets usually are not packed. I even on the app that we use staying at Seabrook, we're able to see because like if we wanted to book a golf club or book club, if we wanted to book a tee time, you have to go through the listing, and it actually tells you who's playing. Like it has the first initial and the last name, and you know who's playing on the app. And it also will give you the times, but you can scroll through and see that like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 444, like a whole bunch of times are open. The tee sheets are not stacked for private clubs, which could be a real good thing to know. But one thing that I also wanted to share is that with, I don't know if this is for every, private club or anything like that, but specifically at Seabrook, like I mentioned earlier, it is member only. Like you have to like you own a property on the island and a member of the Seabrook Club, member only until 1 o'clock. So anything from like 7 when the sun rises to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not getting anybody who has not paid their money, paid their dues to be out on this golf course to play. Also, you have unlimited golf. That's the part that stuck to me a little bit too. That's why I asked the question at the beginning of the podcast for this. Unlimited golf. As a member on Seabrook Island, as a member of the Seabrook Club, you have access to unlimited golf however many times you want to play. You have access to unlimited golf. The only caveat is that you have limited golf, but you do have to, I think you just have to do something for, like, if you want to hit the range just by itself, like, you just have to do something for that. But I have to pull the app up to read that. But nonetheless, unlimited golf. The other thing with private clubs, you also get access to better practice facilities, like the range. I didn't get to hit any golf balls on there because I didn't have time to. But looking at it, it was all grass. The grass looked really good. It looks taken care of. They had bunkers in the fairway portion. They had 5 different targets to go for at different distances. Like, not the biggest, the grandest of all, but we've all seen the driving range at Augusta. We've all seen the driving range at these golf courses that these PGA Tour guys are playing, and my God, we don't never see nothing like that when we're, at a public course. We're just getting open field, which we're still thankful for, but an open field, and it's just hit a ball. Here's a stick at maybe 150, maybe at 155, depending upon how the wind's blowing. I don't know. Something weird about them public driving ranges. You have club tournaments. There's a restaurant where everybody knows your name when you go in. Like you can say, hey, Bill, hey, Tom, how's it going? Hey, Calvin, John, how's it going? Like, there's a community that's already built in just because you joined a private club, because you're seeing the same people, you're playing golf with the same people. And again, there's a connection that probably happens that you may not necessarily know, but there's a giant sense of community with that. And maybe the biggest benefit that I believe from, private clubs, you're more likely to finish your round in under 4 hours. Like that gave me chills just now. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You could finish your look at it. Look, I don't know if you can see. You see them goosebumps? Y'all may not be able to see it. Goosebumps. Gave me chills. Actual chills. Ooh, got them again. You are more likely to finish your round in 4 hours. Here's a thought. I want you to have this thought before we move on. Here's a thought. You could play golf at 9 o'clock in the morning, finish up by 1, and even choose to go back out there after having lunch, and you could play at 3 and play 9 holes. Or if you play at 7 in the morning, you could be done before noon, and you could have lunch from 12 to like 1:30, whatever. Go back out, play at 2 o'clock tee time, and still finish too. You play 36 holes in a day, because you should be able to finish in under 4 hours, because it's not that backed up. I'm just saying, that gave me chills. I enjoyed it. But that's the kind of comparison that I want us to see. Like, we know what happens on a public golf course, but those are the things that we dream of at a private club. So the question is, which one is better? Meaning, which one is better for the weekend golfer that is going to get their best buck for their value? And so I honestly don't think there's a right answer, because it's a first of all, it's always an opinionated thought, and it's also my opinion that you guys are hearing, able to see. But I want to also make sure, for one, you guys are commenting, you're doing all those things necessary, because I want to hear you guys' thoughts. But in comparison to a private club versus a public golf course, which one's better? I don't believe there's a right answer, because it depends on the preference of that said person or that said golfer. If you're playing, 3 or 4 times a week or every week, then maybe a private membership could make a lot of sense for you, because then you have you paying, obviously the fees and stuff. We all know that there's an annual fee. There's all these other stuff to kind of join private clubs. We all know that. But if you have the funds to do it, or if you really play golf 3 to 4 times every week, and you calculate how much it costs to play for you on these public courses every single time you go out over a time span of a year, if you touching close to annual membership fees, you might want to do that, brother. You might want to do that. Just saying. But a private membership could make a lot of sense. But if you're like the most of us, working Monday through Friday, trying to get 1, maybe 2 rounds on the weekend, then public golf is probably where we thrive at versus a private club. But also with public golf courses, you get a variety. Because I had this conversation with my dad at one point, and one of the things that he brought up was that he didn't necessarily want to join a private membership, because then he's tied into that one golf course. Granted, yes, if you spend upwards to $10, $20, $30, $40,000 for like club memberships, and obviously if you got this kind of money, you can afford to do it. But if you're paying this kind of money, that's probably where I'm playing. Like, I'm not playing Charles T. Myers or Sunset or any of these public golf courses that are out here. If I'm got a membership at like Quail Hollow, I'm not going anywhere else, because I got a membership at Quail Hollow. You gonna see me at Quail Hollow. Like, that's where I'm gonna be. So with public golf courses, there's a variety, and there's a difference in like even for myself. Like, one weekend I can be playing golf in Columbia. The next weekend I could be playing golf in Myrtle Beach. Take 2-hour drive from Columbia to go to Myrtle Beach. Next week I may discover a hidden gem that I never even heard of in Gastonia or something. It just makes golf so much more fun when you have a variety of public golf courses, and you could still have a variety in private golf clubs. Typically, you end up seeing the same person at the private club, and they're not going anywhere else. However, Seabrook, the island of Seabrook, has 2 golf courses. If you move just right on the other side, 15 minutes on the other side to the different island at Kiowa Island has 3. So there is a potential of variety, and you could be really good at said golf course if you play 3. Also, you're probably getting invitations to other courses to go play. Hey, we got this tournament at Seabrook. Hey, we got this tournament over at Quail Hollow. We got this tournament here. There's still a variety in public golf and private golf courses as well. So I'm just saying, I don't think there's a right answer to which one is better. I do think there is a personal preference, and there is also different opportunities that you are getting versus with a public golf course, and there's different opportunities that you get with the private club. So, my 2 cents. All right, so even with that, so we've talked about private versus public, and what the difference is, what may be the best thing or the best option for you. I definitely still want to know what you guys think. Do you feel like a private club is better, or a public course, or public freedom of public courses is better? I would personally let you know that if an opportunity presented itself for me to be able to play or to be a member of a private club, I would probably do that, in the sense that if it's going to benefit my entire family. My wife loves tennis. She played tennis in high school, a little bit in college, and she loves that. So if she could get connected in a tennis community while I'm connecting with a golf community, and the kids are connecting to something else, like, that would be worth an investment for me. Like, if we're doing that. Also, even just the concept of like having the privacy and the exclusivity that you would have as a private club member, of being able to put yourself in on, hey, I'm gonna play at 1 o'clock tomorrow, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna have unlimited golf. Like, I would be fine playing the same golf course unlimited all the time, because if I still wanted to go play a private course, or a public course, I can go pay the money and do it. because hopefully I have the funds and the amount of money to be able to afford a different type of lifestyle, playing a private course and going to a public one. So I think that there's a best of both worlds and all of that. But I want to give you guys what I would call the weekend golfer value check. So what I wanted to basically say is, what is the best value for the everyday golfer? Let me know. Today's question for this specific value check: someone gives you $10,000 that can only be spent on golf. And this is a thought, to have for yourself. But if you want to leave it in the comments below for sure. But today's question for the value check: someone gives you $10,000 that you can only spend on golf. Here are your options that you have to choose from. You could join a private club. You could play golf all year long. You can, option C, take 2 unforgettable golf trips in that year, or whatever you decide in 2 years, however. $10,000, 2 unforgettable golf trips. I mean, like, you go to Hawaii, you go somewhere crazy, $10,000. Or the last option, you buy new clubs, take lessons, and you still have money left to play public golf. So $10,000, somebody slides it right over to you, gives you a check, says you can only spend this on golf. Are you joining a private club? Are you playing public golf for all year long? Is that your new golf budget? Are you taking 2 unforgettable golf trips, or are you buying new clubs, taking lessons, and still having some money left over to play a public course? Let me know in the comments below. I will gladly tell you that since I've kind of done option D, or number 4, because I just recently bought almost everything, a brand new bag. I still would probably take that one, getting some good quality lessons and still having money for some public golf. Private golf, some private golf clubs, you not paying $10,000 ain't cutting it. I will say that $10,000 ain't gonna cut it. But I think maybe 2 unforgettable golf trips will be good. I think if you budget that out pretty well, 2 unforgettable golf trips would probably be my first choice. So, but let me know. I want to know what you guys want to decide. Would you choose A, B, C, or D, and whatever option? Let me know in the comments below. All right, getting towards the end of our podcast, I do want to give you guys a little, what I would call probably a swing confession. And I'll admit, every time I have ever driven through or driven past a private golf club or a private golf course, I kind of picture myself being a member. I do want to be extremely honest in the notion of that. When it comes to golf, the game of golf, especially in a private setting, it is not necessarily impossible, but in the few times that I have been out on a golf course that is maybe necessarily private or anything like that, there is not a lot of people that look like me on the golf course. And I don't say that to push any shade whatsoever, but I do want to just say it in the sense that I want to make sure that other people are seeing some of the things that I see and some of the things that I think of as a, obviously, African-American black man in America. But I don't think that there is anything that I feel that is limiting us from getting to that. That's the other encouraging thing I want to say, because the fact that I don't see it doesn't mean that I'm missing it or the fact that there's something preventing it. The fact that I'm just saying is that I do believe, and I do hopefully one day want to see, where a lot of people that are of my same skin tone, if not a little bit darker, whatever the case may be, brown, whatever, Asian, no matter what, there's a diversity that you're able to see at a private club, at a private course, the same way you see it on a public golf course. Because I definitely drive past, Cabarrus County Country Club, or in this case, Seabrook Island, and, see myself, like, hey, this would be really cool to have access to unlimited golf, but also access to this club, access to the people that are here, seeing who is doing what, how people are moving, how people are changing and shifting. What does this person do? What does this person do? Like, I see myself eventually getting to that place because I love being able to connect with people and create culture and create conversations in a cultural base of just golf. So I definitely picture myself at some point being a member of a private club one day. And then I remember, I'd probably still be driving somewhere else the next weekend, going to play a public golf course, just because there's a different type of community that you're able to connect with. I think that's just probably the weekend golfer in me. But I do want to make sure that there's a full diversity that we're able to see, because we all know, for one, historically golf has been I've heard the term golf is a white man's game. It has been. I do want to say it has been, but I don't believe that it is now, because I see way more and more people playing golf. Granted, the private clubs are a little bit more different in their capacities, but it's not to say that we're not seeing diversity on a private club. Because I don't have access to one necessarily doesn't mean it's not there. So I do believe, though, that I want to see, as weekend golfers, that we're seeing a diversity across all regions of golf, whether it's YouTube golf, private clubs, public golf courses, hitting, golf simulator businesses, whatever the case may be. Like, we're seeing that golf is just golf. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has all to do with the community, the connection, and the full beauty of the game that it is. And so before we wrap up this whole thing, we're going to head to the 19th hole here. And the week's question for the 19th hole for this week on this podcast is, what's one public golf course that every weekend golfer should play at least once? Whether if you're in the Charlotte area, I can definitely let you know, but if it doesn't matter what area that you're in, what's one public golf course that every single weekend golfer should at least play once? Leave your answers in the comments below. It might get featured in your recommendation. You might see me on that course checking it out and letting everybody know if what you said is legit. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So, all in all, I don't think that this debate is really about, private clubs versus public golf courses. I do think, though, it is really about finding the best golf experience that fits your life. Some golfers, we love a home course. We love to be able to say, hey, that's where I go. That's where I play. You'll always find me out there if I'm playing golf. Others, we might want to explore. We want to see what the world has. The world is our oyster, which I like grilled. I don't like raw oysters. I haven't tried that yet. I just got into the new oyster game. Different story for a different day. Nonetheless, neither answer is wrong versus a public nor a private club. It's just a matter of what fits you. So it's all really, at the end of the day, it's about making memories. It's about, enjoying the game that it is, and, just getting out with your friends and having a good time. If you're doing that, you're doing golf the right way. So I want to thank you guys first and foremost for spending your day with me as weekend golfers. I appreciate you guys so much for the support. Continue to do so. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's going to pop up. Just as a reminder that you can like. You can also comment if you want. I've challenged you multiple times to comment. If you haven't commented already, you need to do so, because you're missing out, because you're not being a fun person. But also, if you comment, you might get a giveaway, because we have a few to do right now. So, but make sure you subscribe here on the YouTube. Follow the Weekend Golfer, myself, on TikTok or on Instagram. If you happen to be one of the OG golfers and you're on Facebook, make sure you join the Weekend Golfer Clubhouse. It is a group about 50 members strong right now, where we just get together, a lot of different conversations, suggestions about, hey, where should I play here? What courses do you know in this area? I'm new in the area. What do you know here? It's almost like the 19th hole, where people can just kind of come together, talk about what they've experienced, what they've seen, what's going on. So until next time, work all week, golf all weekend, and we'll see you guys on the first tee.